welcome to this discussion of What's a Black Boy to Do? A song written by the now defunct soca band Chaos in Washington, D.C. back in. Please feel free to post comments or questions for the panelists. Before we start, here's a brief history of the band. Formed in 1996, Chaos was the brainchild of musical director Gregory Smith and former band leader Richard Morales. Comprised primarily of West Indians residing in North America, Chaos presented a unique vibe featuring an all-American horn section. Their first CD, entitled Colors, was nominated by the Washington Area Music Achievement Award Committee, WAMA, in the category of Best Recording Artist International. This was the first time that a soca band received such a nomination by this committee. 2 selections from the album reached the top 30 charts in Trinidad and Tobago. One of these selections was a father-son remake of Let Me Go, featuring veteran calypsonian Lord Brigo and his son Sherwin, aka Terraby. The 1999 album, Going Crazy, contained 17 tracks of a high-energy mix of soca, rapso, raga soca, and R&B. Jumbies, one of the tracks from the album, became the theme song for over a decade on John Blake's Caribbean Experience show on WHUR. The band consisted of lead vocalists Sherwin Abraham, Dexter Keane, Tessa Latren, the brass section, Michael Coleman, Brian Bernard, keyboards, Greg Smith, drums, Tyrone Bayer, bass, Lawrence Farmer, guitars, Gordon Yates, and Kent Torres. Over time, the band evolved, and other members included Kelvin Amoro, Brian Grell, Crystal Paul, and many others. Other awards to the band's credit include Best Playing Band, DC Caribbean Carnival, and Baltimore Brass Champs. The Chaos crew has also had the pleasure of working with some of the top entertainers out of Trinidad and Tobago, including David Rudder, Ronnie McIntosh, Iowa George, Baron, Gregory Ballantyne, Tree Canal, KMC, Twiggy, Lovey, Professor Ken Fillmore, Wayne Rodriguez, Marshall Montano, and more. Today, many of the band members are still in contact and continue to push forward musically in songwriting, performance, production, and sound reinforcement. Our discussion today focuses on What's a Black Boy to Do, a song from the band's first album. Here now are your panelists, Greg Smith, Richard Morales, and Sherwin Abraham, aka Terraby.
Right, yes. Thank you for that intro. Folks, thank you for signing on to this Facebook Live event. My name is Greg Smith, one of the ex-members of Chaos, the now defunct Chaos Soca Band out of Washington, D.C. And with me, my panelists today, we have, in the middle there, we have Terraby, Sherwin Abraham, son of Lord Brigo. Yes. Good to have you, Sherwin. And to your, I guess if we see this the same way, I guess to all the way to the right side is
the
Richard,
other person.
Yeah, the other man over there with the gray beard. That is Richard Morales. He was the leader of Soca Band Chaos. And just a little bit of housekeeping before we begin. Just so the viewers know, we are about 20 seconds. I should say what the viewers are seeing is going to be about 20 seconds behind this broadcast. So if you post a comment and we do not reply, either we haven't seen the comment or it's just you're just gonna have to wait about 20 seconds or so for it to get to us, or for us to get to it. So yeah, we're here to discuss Chaos writing a song back in 1998, 22 years ago, called What's a Black Boy to Do? And that song is actually very relevant in today's climate, in today's Black Lives Matters climate. So we just kind of want to candidly discuss, the how the song came about, and also just the general feeling out there. If you guys if the viewers want to comment and jump in on some of the lyrics and stuff like that, we'll have a chance to do that. And then, we'll just, have some casual discussion about the band, our ups and downs, our memories, the good and bad, that kind of thing. So I think what we'll do is we'll play the song first so that the viewers who have not seen or heard this track can get a chance to absorb the lyrics and understand what the song is about. And then we'll go into some discussion about the video, about the song itself. All right, that sound good, fellas?
Yeah, that sound good.
We roll.
So let's take a look at the song. Here is "What's a Black Boy to Do" off of the 1998 album "Colors" by Chaos.
No, no, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong about me. No, 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 no. Hear my song. Don't want no pity, don't want no sympathy. My God built me strong and full of capability. But I'm a slave to a system, you see. That seems to want to destroy the little black ones like me. Don't care how I've tried, and God knows I've tried. Something comes along to pull me down. Good opportunities I can't seem to find, and soon I'm left behind. So I have to sing, oh na na, oh na, oh. It makes me cry. The little black boy. His mama sent him to school. The little black boy. The teacher called him a fool. The little black boy. She said you'll never succeed. What's a black boy to do? The little black boy. His parents don't understand. The little black boy. How to help him become a man. The little black boy. So they beat him and send him to bed. What's a black boy to do? I know some of you here will never see the truth. My arguments for a black man you will refute. All of the pain that he feels from all the abuse. You will just say to him that is another excuse. The politicians have tried, at least they say they have tried, to give him a fighting chance. With prejudice in your hearts, they will just tear him apart. Another promise to get a vote. Whoa, na na, whoa, na, whoa. It makes me cry. The little black boy. He gonna look for a job. The little black boy. People think he come to rob. The little black boy. Why are you so afraid of me? Whoa, no. What's a black boy? Whoa, na na, whoa, no. The little black boy. How can he explore his skills? The little black boy. You know we got to pay his bills. So Lord, to feed himself and his family. What's a black boy to do? Now a choice is a choice, and if I had to make one, I would choose to be black until the day I was done. There are rich boys, there are poor boys all under the sun. But I'm a poor black boy, that is the way I was born. Choices for me don't come so easily. I have to work, I have to play hard, it is not easy. And the day that I stumble or make a wrong move, people chastise me like they have something to prove. Whoa, na na, whoa, no. It makes me cry. The little black boy. He is only human. The little black boy. Full up of frustration. The little black boy. He has to be on the run. What's a black boy to do? The little black boy. You know he's gonna make mistakes. The little black boy. No one wants to give him a break. The little black boy. He doesn't have a rich uncle. What's a black boy to do? The little black boy. Oh na na, whoa, na na, whoa, no. The little black boy. La 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 la. The little black boy. Oh na na, whoa, na na, whoa, no. The little black boy. Oh na na, whoa. The little black boy. Look at the television. The little black boy. Only for youths with guns. The little black boy. The white boys they have big guns too. The little black but just the black ones they showing you. The little black boy. What a controversy. The little black boy. Oh na na, whoa. The little black boy. Oh no no no. The little black boy. Oh no no no. The little black boy. Majesty, what you doing to we? The little black boy. Don't you know I love my country? The little black boy. And I will never ever never ever never ever never never let down my mommy. The little black boy. You know I love my family. The little black boy. Oh no no no. The little black boy. We're struggling to get ahead. The little black boy. No one no piece of my piece and lead. I have to stick around to see my son go by the property. Hockey will never fall below. The little black boy. Oh no no no. The little black boy. La 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 la. The little black boy. Oh no 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 no. The little black boy. The little black boy. The little black boy. The little black boy.
Yes. The Little Black Boy. Yes, man. A well-written song, even though it was over 2 decades ago, by the now defunct Chaos Soca Band based in Washington, D.C. So let's start to talk about the song. But before we talk about the song, I wanna acknowledge some people in the chat group here. I see we have Tony Lisa, we have Gayatri, we have Dave Wilson. That's my boy. We actually have some members from the original Chaos Band. We have Brian Bernard, who you probably have heard Brian on WPFW on Saturday nights. If you haven't, definitely check him out. I don't know why Tara be in the people chat. Judy, good night. Ayana, good night. Gordon, of course, was one of the two guitar players that Chaos has had. We have Gordon there. We have Gerald. We have Kelvin. Kelvin was also another
Vagabond.
Yeah, Vagabond.
Prodigal?
Yeah, Prodigal
Yeah.
inside.
Prodigal? Oh, Prodigal night, Mr. Prodigal.
Yeah, Kelvin actually came on. He joined Chaos during our second album, and he has 2 tracks on that album. 2 of the
Excellent writer.
yeah,
Got
excellent
it,
writer,
yeah.
excellent performer.
Pen sharp.
And definitely an excellent dresser. If you see the man now, the man
Yeah,
dress up,
yeah.
from head to toe, he
Vagabond.
japa. Yeah, man. Yeah, who else we have? We have Steve the Waxman. Steve!
Wax Steve. Good night, Steve.
Steve the
Wax.
Waxman is on the inside.
Boy.
Yeah, you got Deborah
He was our
Thornton.
song guy for a while, too.
Yeah, Steve was
He
You
was
know
the song guy.
Yeah, man. We got a lot of folks signing on still. And we'll keep the conversation going here. Let's get back to Black Boy. What's a Black Boy to do? So, Richard, so you guys know or have a idea of how the song was created. Richard was the songwriter. Showing in the middle there, Tarabi was the performer, and me, I was the music producer for the song. So, Richard, if you could tell me, in a few words, tell us a little bit about the song. Let us know how it was created and how this whole thing started.
All right. Well, basically, by 1998, Chaos had been together, I guess, for about 18 months, Greg. 18 months to 2 years.
Yeah,
And
I believe so.
18 months to 2 years. And at that time, in terms of my leadership, I mean, I by no means was I the strongest musician in Chaos's group, but my vision was really to create a band that would be able to, with local talent from Washington D.C. that would that we'd be able to. The plan was basically to go back to Trinidad and and establish ourselves, which is kind of interesting because the bigger market all along was right here. But anyway, coming back to the song, we knew that in order to move towards that direction in terms of establishing ourselves, we had to record. And Chaos, for the most part, 1997, 1998 was a party band. We get on stage and we behave badly. And for the Caribbean people in the chat, you know what that means. We behave bad. So the first CD really, was going to contain songs like that, really within the genre of the energy that the band created. But there was also a serious side in the traditional calypso, which I valued. In 1997, Gypsy sang a song called The Little Black Boy. And I don't know if Greg could throw up some of the lyrics for that song out there. But in that song, I thought that Gypsy was extremely hard on the little black boy, making him sound like he really didn't have much ambition. He went to school. He didn't focus on his work. He came out of school basically at Duncy. He worked in meaningless jobs as a tout. Mm-hmm. And these sentiments and these words were expressed in that song. And listening to that song, in my mind, there was something wrong. So that was, I guess, March of 1997. Gypsy was crowned king as a result of that very popular and very successful song, Little Black Boy, which I thought at the time demoted every black boy in Trinidad. But it was how people felt. In Trinidad, it was simply an issue of get an education, work hard, and you'd be successful. But Black people all around the world, we have special circumstances. And I think in 1997, I saw that. And this song, What's a Black Boy to Do, was actually written as an answer to Gypsy, to contest his findings that there were real reasons. It posed the question, what's a Black boy to do? Because the thing is, there were real economic, social, racial, all sorts of different reasons that came together that I thought kept the Black boy, kept his progress slow at the very least. Mm-hmm. There were lots of opportunities, but somehow it seemed as though he always got left back. And I in my opinion, I was one of those little Black boys, and I grew up with a lot of little Black boys, and we weren't the way Gypsy had laid it out in his song. Mm-hmm. Like every other song with Chaos, I came to Greg with the idea. I said, listen, this is how I feel. The verse and the chorus came pretty much and it was a pretty easy song to write. Right. The verse and the chorus came pretty much, the first verse and chorus came pretty much as it's written on the CD. Mm-hmm. I took it to Greg and I sort of sang it, not much of a singer, but I sang it the best way I could. And sometimes Greg does stuff and it's almost magical because really within a short space of time, we had a lot of the music down. I mean, we tweaked it just before we recorded it, but we knew where it was going. Mm-hmm. In putting the song together, I knew from the get-go that Sherwin was going to be the singer. Everything about him sort of matched in terms of the message and what I thought he could deliver. The song itself, in terms of the creation, the timing, it was actually written as one of the items, one of the entrants for Baltimore had back in 97. During the summer, had a festival called Summer in the Park. And I believe the Friday, they held a Calypso competition. And this wasn't no ordinary Calypso competition. They attracted talent from all across the U.S. Count Robin, maybe Sherwin might remember some of the other contestants in that.
Definitely Dexter Keane was always a heavy hitter in that. Right,
Dexter Keane. Right. There were quite a few. There were quite 8 to 12 performers, I believe, and the song was written for this. The timing, the creation of the song, occurred for that competition. We got excellent reviews. Sherwin performed 2 songs, little bit "What's a Black Boy to Do" and another song that also became a track on the Chaos CD called "Whining Party." Wow! And he did very well. I remember hearing the song for the first time being performed, and there was complete silence. The American experience is very different from the Trinidadian experience, Afro-Trini experience, and it resonated with a lot of the non-Caribbean sitting in the park and listening to the music and hearing this. Resonated with them. Everyone became very quiet and locked in to Sherwin's presentation. It was really something to behold. I remember it distinctly. But yeah, it was really a combination of, Sherwin brought his energy into it, Greg with his creativity, and I provided the lyrics, and there it was.
Would you say that it is the silence that happened during that competition was largely because it resonated a lot more with as you say, the Trini or the Caribbean Americans, people living in America from, Trinidad, Grenada, and these places, they would understand our perspective in this song versus people in Trinidad rallying around Gypsy's version of the song. Would you say
in
that's
fact,
correct?
That's an absolute accurate statement. Most Black Americans, Caribbean Americans, identified with it immediately. I remember I was hanging out behind the songboard, the mixing board, and someone from the press walked by and asked about the singer, realizing that we were part of the team that had brought it there, and they were just totally blown away. Interestingly, when I played that song for friends and acquaintances and people down in Trinidad, I remember back then we were working with the producers of the Kiss Kitty Caravan, if anybody remember that label. Gary Dorr and John Afun. I remember the two. And when I played it for them, Gary looked at me and said, "Richard, don't produce another song without talking to me first." You know, he felt that we had completely missed it. And from the local Trinidadian perspective, the image of the little black boy as being a non-contender, well, a loser, was what was the popular view. And for folks who want, and there are a lot of people interested in maintaining that status quo. And so that song really never resonated with folks in Trinidad. And I played it for quite a few people, and I think Sherwin also as a performer would probably tell you later on in terms of his experience in trying to play that song for people in the Calypso tent that he might have, that he performed with.
It definitely wouldn't go over in Trinidad the way it would come
Trinidad
over
was
here.
not ready for lyrics like that.
Yeah, the experience that we go through here as Caribbean Americans, you know, when you actually walk down the street and like for me, you know, sometimes I'm walking in a neighborhood and somebody look at me as if to say, well, you ain't supposed to be here. You know, that feeling is quite different from what we experience in Trinidad as racism. Now, I personally believe, and it's just my opinion, you know, we're talking candidly here, is, you know, I believe that what we call racism in Trinidad is not the same as what we have here in America. You know, the differences between the Indos and the Afros in Trinidad, there may be differences, but I don't think there's necessarily the level of discrimination down there. Well, I shouldn't say down, but physically, I guess we up. But anyway, the discrimination that we experience here is actually quite different. But anyway, I'm not going to get too deep on that. However, I want to turn to Terabi for a quick second here as the performer of the song. So picture this: we are getting, Terabi is getting ready to go into a calypso competition with no lyrics, no music, nothing. He goes to Richard and say, "Richard, I want to compete, right? I think it would help the band's presence." Okay, good idea, great idea. So what to do? Richard had to write a song, right? So Richard write the song the night before, mind you, the night before the competition. And that would mean for me as the music producer that Richard is going to come to me with a sheet of lyrics and say, "Put some music to that day." And it had to be ready in time for Sherwin to learn it to go in a competition.
Let me correct it. All right. I think we had at least the first verse and chorus weeks before.
You had the lyrics, not me. I didn't have no music.
But I will admit, verse number 2 and 3 was probably written the night before.
Right.
Was that you remember it, Sherwin?
Yeah. Verse number 1 and chorus, everything was a couple of weeks before.
So in other words, we knew the gist of the song, but we didn't have nothing else. So the night before this competition, we struggling to make the rest of the song and the music.
The morning up because it was after 12.
Right. All I know is we was in that basement in the band studio, cranking it out. You know. Yeah. So, you know, needless to say, I mean, Sherwin placed second in that competition. I think a lot of it had to do with you know, just we weren't necessarily comfortable with the song yet. It was fresh, it was new. Anyway, so Sherwin, so Richard writes these lyrics and hands it to you. What is your reaction? What is your impression when you read these lyrics and you see waiters Richard telling you had to go and sing on stage? What going through your mind?
Well, first and pleasant, and say good night to everybody. All the Chaos X members and stuff like that. Yeah, special good night to Prodigal Son and condolences to the family and everything like that. Bless brother. Well, going back to the question now. With the song with Richard. Well, as I said, we had the verse and chorus from cooking it from a couple weeks before. The night before, Richard, he left us in the studio there around like probably like 9, 10 o'clock. And he said he'll be back with the lyrics. And because he knew what he wanted to say, but it just wasn't done yet.
So me and you working on music and he gone.
Yeah,
to write the rest of
basically
the
that's what it
song.
was.
Right.
We finished whatever time it was.
Yeah.
'Cause it was and left, got the lyrics in the morning.
Mhm.
But me myself, I have a process in the way how I digest stuff and remember stuff.
Yeah.
But that was all out of the window there. So it was all about just cramming into it. And I remember on my way to Baltimore, I'm there going over the lyrics, going over there, and got to a point, people about the place. I was like, whatever I know now, I ain't going to so let me go for it. And just to go piggyback on what you said earlier on, as far as the silence that came across the people, it was a different vibe because, with Chaos and stuff, we jump on stage and it's all about hands in the air, noise and whatever. And it's like, now everybody hanging on to everything that you're saying now.
Yeah.
It's one of the first times going through this, and you weren't even sure if you remember the next line coming. So it was like that challenge, but it's like, with Calypso in my background and stuff like that, I see how he did himself. So I try to fix my vibes, to carry the vibes over.
Yeah.
And we pulled it out. We pulled it out.
So did you identify, like, some of these lyrics are talking about, like the black boy. With some of the lyrics that Gypsy talked about, first of all, was talking about the black boy having low ambition. He not aiming to be a businessman. He aiming to be a maxi conductor. For those of the viewers who don't know what a maxi is, it's basically a bus, and the conductor is somebody that is collecting the money. So rather than looking to be, to start your own business, for instance, or whatever, the Gypsy is saying that the black boy is looking to do small work and buy weed, and basically it's like a parent scolding a child, basically, So that was Gypsy version. Chaos's version is more saying, listen, from before the black boy, the parents and all don't even understand how to raise this child properly. So you can't blame the black boy and just scold him and say, you're stupid, you're a dunce, go and find something better to do. You have to know how to talk to children, you have to know how to raise your child and stuff. And the parents don't understand how to do that, etc., right? So it goes beyond. And I see Eric in the comments here making a comment. And I see folks agreeing with him. That's, and Brian too, saying, it goes beyond just the little black boy. It goes from this is an issue that started from before. And this is the same thing we're saying with Black Lives Matter. This is not something that started today, or, when the whole thing happened, it's, with George Floyd, it's not something that happening now. This is something that happening for years, and so the song, trying to come back to the song, it's basically saying, Gypsy, stop looking at just the black boy, look at the broader picture. That's basically what the attention we was trying to get. And what Richard was saying is Trinidad wasn't ready to have that perspective. So Showen, you went to Trinidad,
right,
and you met Gypsy, correct?
Right.
So did he hear the song, or did you sing it for him, or you show him the lyrics, or?
Well, you have to think. Well, he got a verse and chorus. You have to think about it in the sense of we were all backstage, and he likes and this was in House of Stars. So he likes you have the Mighty Sparrow, my pops, Black Stallion. At the time, Olatunji, Patrice, they actually sang in the tent that time too. So, but in the changing room there was me, him.
And sorry to cut you, Showen, but for folks who just joining, if you don't know, Showen, aka Terabi, is the son of Lord Brigo, the late Lord Brigo, who is one of Trinidad's most prominent calypso artists. So Showen's perspective growing up, he's always had the opportunity to go backstage or to go to rehearsals and rub elbows with these other guys. So here's Showen with this song, which is a response to Gypsy's song, talking to Gypsy backstage. So go ahead, Showen.
Yeah. So with that said, now we were there. We were speaking just candidly, and then I told him about the song. We had I think it was the year before, was when we had King Second competition. So told him about it, and then he asked me to sing it. So I sang verse and chorus, and he liked it. But I was just looking at it. Maybe it was just from. It wasn't like he was ready for someone to come back with an answer for it. Then, so it was yeah, like it is nice, bam. Plus Pops was there too, so I don't know. Yeah.
But, you know, that's the same thing Richard is saying. You know, Trinidad wasn't ready to hear that. You know, it's just a different perspective. You know, and it's I totally understand. You know, if Richard didn't write the song, I would have probably been in the same boat where when I hear Gypsy song, I would have been just like any other Trinidadian. I say, yeah, black boy, be something better, da, and that's good. It's a good thing to motivate the black man or whatever. However, there's also more to the story. It's not that easy to just when you go and look for a job, people think you come to rob. That's part of the lyrics in the song. You know, it's not easy for everybody. You know, yeah, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, so let me
Very
just
cool.
take a quick look at the comments here and see what we're talking about. Oh, by the way, yeah, big up here to Leonard Jack is on. Larry Bruce is also on. Larry Bruce was one of the longtime managers of Chaos. One of the 3 managers Chaos had. We got Zinga. Zinga, how you doing? Eric is in the house. Donovan, yeah, man. Got some real soldiers in the house here. Tisa, how you doing? You know, big up yourself. Chris Nichols, Uncle Chris, that's my boy. And of course, Willow, you know, Willow go back a long time with Pan Masters, and I'm sure he's seen many times where Chaos has performed and made a mess of ourselves. You know, we've been through some ups and downs with the band. Eh? It's not just good, you know, happy all the time. You know, we've been through some ups and downs.
Yeah. So Greg, let me come to you and ask you a couple of questions now. As the producer, not just of this song, but I know like when we started working together, I think your production credits was this much as a 0.
Yeah.
I don't think you had produced much of anything before. I mean, tell us a little bit about the process and what it was like working with Chaos. What kind of experiences you had?
Well, I guess starting off with this particular song, which wasn't. I think it might have been the first song we started recording on the album, but
I think Whining Party was probably the first.
I really don't remember. I mean, it's been a million songs since then. But the process for this particular song was more. It was really to listen to the lyrics and stay out of the way of the lyrics. So the music, as you heard earlier, was very, very simple. Anybody could reproduce that. It's real simple. It's something that lends itself to a sort of a African type feel, you know, because I kind of wanted to make it feel a little rootsy and a little plain and organic, you know, so it doesn't sound like there's any real commercial type production behind it, you know. So the production behind it is very purposefully sparse and simple so that you don't listen to the music, you listen to the lyrics. So I stayed out of the way on that one. With some of the other Chaos tracks, it kind of depends on what the song is about. So, you know, most of Chaos songs were very high energy because the band was a real wild band sometimes, and we used to do things haphazardly and whatever, you know. But so some of those songs would be more, you know, percussion was full, keyboard parts was full, bass heavy, you know, like that kind of thing. And it was we took a lot from what the bigger bands in Trinidad, the Ecstatics, the Atlantics at the time, you know, the Traffics, those bands, Question, all of them, you know, what they were doing is what we was trying to do over here so that we could get some shows over there. But we end up staying right here, and it was just fine. Yeah, so the production was great. Yeah.
Right.
Simple.
And in terms of producing now versus back then, what sort of changes have you seen? What's the industry like?
So from a producer's point of view, soca back then and soca now, soca back then didn't really tell much of a story. Calypso did, right? Soca was very high energy and gimmicky. You know, there was a lot of, you had to have a gimmick. You had to have like Iowa would like throw out water or something, you know, or
Right.
Marshall would sing about big truck and, you know, compared to, you know, so it was always some kind of a gimmick to get people to like your song, you know. Nowadays the productions has stepped you know, the game has stepped up. Trinidadian producers, and not just Trinidadians, the Caribbean on a whole has totally stepped up its game in terms of the sonics, the audio, the songwriting, the arrangements. All of these things have totally stepped up to a commercial level now. The software and everything that's available now. And by the way, when we produced this song 22 years ago, we were on hardware. Everything was hardware. It was all,
Two-drum machine.
it was physical things.
Drum
It was
machine,
pressing
a
and, you know,
sequencer.
physical. Yeah, all
Yeah.
of that. Now everything, I mean, is computer. You know, is so nowadays. You have no excuse to really produce a subpar sounding song. So I think it's not as gimmicky nowadays, you know, compared to back then. I think some of the songs that you hear has returned to some sort of storytelling, you know, which is to me very important in the genre of soca, because soca comes from calypso, and calypso is a storytelling art form. So it needs to kind of stay true to that at least some of the time, you know. Yeah, we just whine and jam and thing, but just like Chaos, we were high energy, we whine and jam, but just like you see here, we did think songs like Black Boy, you know, What's a Black Boy to Do, which is a message song. We did songs like Hold On, which is a positive song saying, hey, if you're having problems, stick with it, hold on, you know, have hope. We did songs like Brother's Keeper, which is like saying, hey, you love your brother, man, you don't know when is the last time, you know, that kind of thing. So we were also a message band, not too much message, but we were, you know, we had the high energy, but we also had the storytelling side of it as well. Go ahead and stop texting me, man. What? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how things have changed. So back in 1998, when Chaos recorded the first CD,
Yeah.
CDs was the way to make money. I mean, the actual recording might have cost, I think the actual CD might have cost, say, $10,000 to $12,000 to produce.
Yeah.
Now you got to go sell CDs
Boy.
to cover that expense and pay your musicians and pay everything else.
Pay a producer.
And that's how we made money.
Yeah.
So like our first CD, Colors, sold, I believe, somewhere around 6,000 CDs, at least in the United States. There were rumors that it was released, some of the tracks, especially one track in particular, Frankie, was released on the underground circuit in France and sold even more copies. But that's just rumor. There's an arrangement we had with our distributor at the time. Who was
Spice
it?
Island. Spice Island.
Is it Spice Island Records? Yeah,
in
Spice
New York.
Island Records. Good people, but you know, business. So that's how musicians made money. You know, I look at the industry today and I'm scratching my head to figure out how some of these guys, very successful artists, very successful songs that play on Spotify and iTunes, but I'm trying to figure out how the artist makes money. Do you know?
Yeah. Artists don't, Spotify and YouTube, iTunes, you know, all these different outlets are basically business cards for performers. You know, when you hear a song and you like it, okay, cool, but there's a million other songs out there right now, you know?
Right.
So the whole idea is to put that business card out there to get attention, right?
So are you saying then that they make money from performing and not
Performance is
from actually
yes.
selling a track, selling a product?
Selling music is not a thing nowadays. You know,
Right.
you would see people selling music, and you will hear talk about Spotify and how much fractions of a cent the artist will make from Spotify. But that's really not, it's not an income. You know, it's not a viable income. To be able to make an income as an artist, you have to dip in. First of all, you have to have multiple income streams. That's the first thing. But the main stream that you would probably have as a performing artist is performance. You know, you have to get booked,
Right.
you have to go to these venues, you have to do that. But how long that go last? You could only
Right.
physically keep that up for a little while. So, you know, so after a while you had to get into something else. You had to get into teaching, you had to get into production, you had to get into something else, you know. And the computer has also made it it has leveled the playing field so that folks who want to
So
get
it's
into production,
easier. So basically, it's easier to produce a track now. It's easier to
it's
get your thing
easier,
out
but it
there.
also causes
But
more
the
competition.
returns are less because everybody has access.
Everybody
So I
have
think
access.
that answers. I just looking at the live feed there. Trevor asked the question:
Oh.
how does one get a Chaos CD?
Yeah.
Well, coming to a YouTube channel near you,
Near you.
because you're not gonna get a CD.
I'll
I've
upload
got a
it.
few. If somebody wants to get, reach out to me, I could, frame it and put it on your wall for the same, which is what I've done. But if you're interested in listening to the track, I think over the next few weeks, Greg has a project planned to get those tracks out there onto YouTube,
Yeah.
and he can make the links available. But you could definitely go ahead and enjoy our music from 2 decades ago.
You know,
And so hopefully some of it will still appeal. I mean, we definitely enjoyed the hell out of making them.
right.
I as I sit here and I think, I remember the horn section in the studio laying their tracks. I remember them rehearsing in the in the parking lot of Central Recording Studios.
Right.
And
I
Mike
forget about
Neal,
Yeah.
Mike Neal, who was our recording engineer,
Mhm.
very good guy,
Mhm.
came in with his car and said, "Wow, you guys have my parking lot sounding like a marching band." But these guys knew their thing, and we certainly enjoyed them tremendously.
So let's talk a little bit about Chaos itself, the Bacchanal band, appropriately named Chaos. So from my point of view, I was a little boy growing up in Trinidad. My mother's cousin is Colin Lucas, the guy who sang Dollar Wang. And at the time he had a band called Song Rev, and they used to play in a calypso tent called Spectacular Forum. And so I used to go to Spectacular Forum religiously and check out Song Rev, check out Roy Cape, all these other bands. Then I would go to the other Calypso, Calypso Review, Sparrow Hideaway, wherever, right? And so I became very obsessed with wanting to have a band of my own. So one day I look up Colin's number. He used to work on the port at the time. I call him. I say, "Hey, I am Greg, and I want to form a band." The man tell me, "Don't do that. Band is trouble." And he was right, but it's a trouble that is worth it, because I mean, Tara, Showen, Gordon, Brian, everybody, these band members on the chat group here, they will tell you that I used to real cuss, and get on in the band room. But it was really a cuss and an argument out of passion. It's because I wanted the band to succeed. I wanted things to be, as I dreamt it, and granted, it's not just my dream. So let me reverse a little bit and tell you how Richard and I met, and also how Tara and I met. So Richard and I met because I was in a steel band called Pan Masters in DC, and we were performing and stuff, and Richard was going to University of Maryland at the time, and there was a guy that knew him by the name of Mark Johnson. Mark, if you're in the chat, big up yourself. Mark was also a member of Pan Masters, so I knew Mark and Richard knew Mark. And I was running around telling everybody, "Hey, I want to form a band, Colin Lucas say I need a keyboardist, I need a drummer, I need a this, I need a that." So if all they know anybody, link me. And so I decided, well, Mark put me and Richard in contact. Me and Richard met at a Ruby Tuesdays in 1996. And there were a few other folks involved, which was not the Chaos crew that became known in DC, but that was like the pre version, I guess, or whatever. We rehearsed a few times and stuff, and then we started recruiting members. Showen and I met before Richard. We actually met before I even joined Pan Masters, as a matter of fact. We met because there was a band in DC called Youth Cultural Steel Orchestra, and I walked in there one night. They needed a drummer, and I got wind of that, so I went to audition for this drum part, and Showen was sitting behind the drum set, and he said, yeah, he's a drummer, show me what you can do now. So I said, all right. So I sit down, and before I start playing, of course, I had to tune the drums. That sound good, So that's how Showen and I met. But come to find out, later on, we actually played Kiddies Carnival together in Trinidad with Richard Bartholomew. So it's small world now. And Richard and I eventually hook up and stuff, and we started the band, and we had a place. I don't know if you guys remember. No, Willow would remember Dynafit in Silver Spring. We used to practice in the basement. And the Mix would remember them days. Showen used to be hanging off the roof, the ceiling. And we had a room that was a little off from where the parties used to take place, but we would practice there. And then Showen saw me a night at TNT Clubhouse and was like, hey, you want to join my band now? And I say, for real, you have a band? He's like, yeah. I say, nah, I'm my own band. He's like, oh, I was joking. So he eventually came on audition and became one of the frontline singers, together with Brian Grell and Tessa. And eventually Dexter Keane came on as well. And the band just kind of grew.
We had some names to drop in between there. So in terms of singers, we had Ronald Rogers, who now lives in England. Then we had Brian Grell join us. Tessa, we convinced Tessa to come on board.
You will find Tessa singing now in a Parang band during Christmas time. Yeah.
Then Showen came on board, and that was the trio for a second until we eventually, in terms of reaching for goals to start the recording process, we knew we needed to pump up the vocal. Now I had met Dexter Keane a couple of years before. Well, I shouldn't say met him. I had experienced him at a show, and I knew he could sing, and I was pretty impressed with what he could do vocally. Right. And so when the idea of starting to record, and we looked around and saw what we had, we decided we needed somebody with a little bit more seasoning, and Dexter was the perfect choice. Yeah. We brought Dexter in, and at first thought we would go to a 4-singer frontline. But that didn't work out. We had Brian decided to not go for that, and he unfortunately left. And we ended up with the
There's
3.
Brian in the middle right now on the screen.
Right.
Showing and
we
Brian
ended up with
and
the three front singers that basically fronted the band for a couple of years.
Yeah.
There were some others coming down to after year 3 and 4. There was Crystal. This is Paul is her last name.
Crystal Paul. Yeah.
Crystal Paul. We attempted to recruit this awesome singer Miriam Richardson that never actually performed with us, but
vocalist.
Definitely was a talent.
Yeah.
Did I leave anybody else out?
Probably. We had Chaos actually.
Vagabond, he used to come off at the MPC at one time.
Roger.
And Kelvin.
Kelvin
right
came in. I would come in as a guest appearance every once in a while. Drummers, we had
Tyrone.
Your brother-in-law. We had Tyrone, and we had
Ryan,
Jonathan.
John Holder, yeah.
John Holder. John Holder was also.
And then we had Roger Alexander on percussion.
On percussion for quite a bit of the time. Yeah.
And then we had Dax.
Yeah.
Remember Dax?
No.
Dax. Oh, you know what? Okay, so folks, there was a period in Chaos's history where Richard decided he had enough and he had to take a break and disappear off the scene for a while and leave me. If you guys don't know, Richard was actually the band leader. I was the musical director and bass player. I was the musical director, keyboard player. So anything musical, anything dealing with whatever songs we play in, how we perform and whatever, that's me. Richard would kind of do the bookings and deal with between him and it would be back then was Roger Vera, aka Frankie. That was one of our managers. And
we had a stint with Larry Bruce.
With Larry Bruce, who's also in the chat here tonight.
And Chris Toussaint also.
Yeah, Chris was our manager when Richard left. because
Right.
I just couldn't manage and run the band and do everything and lead and produce and everything. I couldn't do it, right? So Chris came on to lend a hand and did a great job. And Richard eventually came back, and the band kind of, in the bigger scheme of things, Chaos lived a very short life. It's probably the span of Chaos was what, maybe 6 years,
6 years, yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in that 6 years, we do real thing.
Yeah.
We recorded CDs. We perform everywhere. We performed with everybody out of Trinidad, from Marshall, David Rudder, Ronnie McIntosh, Baron. I know that's one of Larry's favorite shows. Tree Canal, Wayne Rodriguez, Twiggy. I mean, real people. If you, Iowa George, you could call any big singer from Trinidad back then, and we was the backing band.
Anybody who touched DC, we was on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Willow asking if you played bass for a while, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
And
I
I
did.
think you played.
There was
After I left, I know the trumpeter Lawrence Farmer picked up the bass, and he did a very good job.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's interesting. You talk about what we did, but even beyond that, the spin-off from Chaos, I believe the horn section went on to become they were part of a Google band that did very well in DC for quite a while. What was it? What was the band's name?
Well, they started off as Theory 101, and then they went on to be Listen. Or maybe that was a different
Listen,
band, but he
Listen
was a part of Listen.
Was quite a popular band in DC.
Yeah.
Out of Chaos spun off my company, Boom Audio Services.
Yeah.
And we've been working for almost 11 years.
Yeah.
Then you have Greg Jam's recording studio.
Yeah.
Production.
Yeah, you also have Gordon doing his thing in his studio. Gordon have his, I mean, he ain't really bigging up himself, but he has his private studio.
Right.
Terra working for IK Multimedia,
Correct. And they have Brian on the radio
on WPFW.
WPFW. So, quite a bit.
Tessa
is still with
the Paramount Group. The Paramount.
And up to
Paramount
2 weeks
Posse.
ago, Dexter Keane was still producing new music.
Yeah.
Actually, Dexter, he also arranges for a steel band, and he actually, after Chaos was gone for, I don't know, maybe like 10 years, Dexter came out with another group called Decay 21, and they lasted maybe about 2 or 3 years on the scene, and they were doing pretty good. I was involved with that. Gordon was involved with that, and there was some other players that were not part of Chaos that was also involved in that. And it was pretty good.
Yeah. A lot of great spin-off, and a lot of the guys are still doing their thing. I was one of the trumpet players, Eric, played with me for 5 or 6 years with one of the top agency bands in DC, the Kaleidoscope Band, and he did his thing. It was really good having him along with me. Familiar face.
I believe Eric and Lawrence, both horn players that I met while I was in Howard, and Brian. So basically, when we were looking for horn players, we was like, well, where to find horn players to have a brass section? I was actually in the marching band at Howard University, and I was like, duh. But Eric and Lawrence went on to become music teachers.
Right.
I'm not sure if it's high school level or what level they're on, but yeah, man, them fellas doing some good stuff. And I believe Lawrence also has his band, the Urban Farmers. So yeah, big.
Oh, really?
Too. Yeah.
Nice.
He's still doing it. He's still doing it.
Nice.
Yeah, man. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, we just kind of went down a little bit, on memory lane there. I've seen some very familiar.
Donovan Mark says he, and that's my brethren.
Yeah.
He say he remember auditioning with Chaos.
I remember that. Donovan is a bass player.
Come and think about it. We even tried. What was the name of Peter Humphrey's keyboard player?
Otis.
Yes.
Otis was a great keyboard player, man.
Yeah, I remember
nice guy.
trying to recruit him.
Yeah,
I mean, at that point in time, no.
Richard, Richard always trying to fire me. Up to today, Richard was trying to fire me, Dread, from doing this interview. Guys, Anyhow, let me hush my mouth. I'll go sit down.
And as usual, Greg always overreacting. That's what's showing what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Trying to fire you too, Ashwin. He was going to do this whole live thing by himself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I'd definitely like to shout out for the bands and the groups that continue to play this genre of music that could keep it together. The Image Band, enough respect. I mean, they've been around.
Image,
they were there before
Sarge
we came along.
Of course.
We burnt out. They kept going and still going. Sarge
Humphrey.
and Peter and Timmy.
Frankie.
Oh my goodness.
Frankie Jovois. Remember he had that band Decay, not Decay. That's Richard. Was DKGB.
DKGB. Yeah.
Yep. I shall.
And then I shall cool. Yeah, and now you have Mikey.
Yes,
with the Eclipse band that they're utilizing a lot of the new technology.
Absolutely.
And they're just like us. They're hungry, and they're still fine tuning their sound and fine tuning their skills. And it's really interesting to see them come and young guys, and they're doing their thing and trying to keep it alive.
Eclipse.
Yeah, big up
It's
Eclipse.
incredible.
Yeah. Folks, if you enjoyed this live, give us a thumbs up or a like. We really appreciate you guys signing on and listening to our memory lane and listening to, What's a Black Boy to Do, and just checking out this whole scene with us. It has been a very great journey. Yeah, man. Yeah, I see. Dave. I see Dave there. Dave is my neighbor. Dave literally about 2 blocks so from me.
Well, Dave is like a brother. Dave and I went to Maryland together.
Yeah.
So we come up through the ranks. So the answer to your question, Dave, did we play on Georgia Avenue? For those of you old enough to remember Georgia Avenue, since
DC Carnival.
Carnival is long gone.
Boy.
The answer is yes, and we had a good time.
Andy Mix in the house, boy.
In the bar.
Really?
Andy Mix is in the house. Andy Mix is in the.
I must say, I had to give a special shout out to Peter Humphrey. Is because he was the first man to put me on a CD.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
And the first guy to actually record me was the great Super Slice, man. Let's call him Father Slice.
Yeah.
Super Slice.
Super Slice. Yes.
Yeah, I was in high school still, and I had a crew called Poison International. Me, Bongo Natty, Jason, Deceased, and Liquor Saw. And
What was that name? Bongo Natty?
Bongo Natty.
Bongo.
Yeah. And we Super Slice, the manager at the time took us over to Super Slice, and he recorded our first little demo. And
Super Slice was on 93.9. Super Slice was
he used to
on KYS
on
at the time.
What is it?
WKYS.
93.9.
Yeah.
At night, and it was like when we went to school next Monday, boy, we went up on the wheel. Because Slice was like the Caribbean voice to Washington DC then. So whereas one place you get your reggae music, he wasn't playing no soca really still. Coming in last half, he might have to throw in a 1 or 2, but that time you get your reggae. So
yeah.
So go ahead.
I'd also like to big up Trevor D. Freitas.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
Soldier.
Yes. How we could
Soldier
Trevor
right
boy.
with us from the start.
Trevor.
From day
Seriously,
one, Trevor.
Thank you.
Trevor. We gotta big up Richie.
Richie.
Gotta big up Richie. Richie's another soldier who was with us and basically support any band, any Caribbean contribution. Richie is gonna be part of it, Waxman Steve sustained us for quite a while with his support.
Absolutely.
Neil Matai, John Blake, who played our music.
Oh gosh, we forget about
Saturday
that.
after Saturday, turn on to John Blake's show and I could hear Jumbies.
Yeah, the theme song for that show was us.
For years. For years.
Over 10 years.
Definitely.
Over a decade.
Yeah, big up to John Blake.
I see we have a question from Eric McFarlane here. Eric, by the way, Eric gonna know what I mean. Anyway, Eric is asking, any plans? I keep this thing scrolling here. Yeah, any plans to reunite once the COVID-19 is over? I go let somebody else besides me answer that.
About 3 or 4 years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, there was a discussion definitely about us coming together and doing a show. I think it's possible. It's gonna, we're different people. We're all working on different projects. We do have 3 or 4 years, 5 years of a repertoire that we could tap into. But it'll take some coordination. But I mean, if that's something that people would like, then
speak up.
We can make it happen. I mean, between Greg and I, we definitely have the resources.
Brian, forget how to play the trombone.
Unless
Brian just came off screen there. Yeah.
So
also, Andy, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm done. Go ahead.
Now, Andy was asking if we remember him being behind the mixer at our first show in Crossroads, which I think I have a picture of that somewhere, But I remember it. Let me tell you what happened that night. We got on stage. We frightened, right? Because we's a new band. We new performers. We ain't know nothing about sound system. We know how to perform, but we don't know nothing outside of that, right? So we at the mercy of not having a sound engineer because, even though we're musicians and performers, we don't know that you need a sound engineer, which is, by the way, what Boom Audio provides. That's one of the services they provide. Shameless plug. But we didn't know.
If you've been to Baltimore Carnival in the last 5-6 years, you've heard from Boom Audio and Wax Live.
Yeah, so
that's us in the park.
So Andy Mix is the DJ at the famous Crossroads nightclub. Of course, Sprang was there every Friday night and Saturday night, but this night was Andy night, and Andy bring us to the Crossroads, and we, I believe this was our first show, and we gone on stage not having a sound engineer, not knowing anything about electrical this or electrical that, and we strike up, we have our amps and stuff, and as we strike up first note, bram, lights gone, boof.
Yeah, man, say, your name should be quiet, not chaos.
That quote that Showin just said there, that actually made it into a magazine article, which actually would flash on the screen at some point. That, it was crazy. So Chaos was actually famous for having unpredictable. In fact, it is actually predictable, but we didn't really think our mind was not that. Our mind was going forward with the soca thing and trying to get the DC community involved in what we're doing on a soca level, on a cultural level. We was really was focused on that, But I remember that, Andy. That was a great night, Interesting night. But after that, it became.
I had one song that show, which was Channel Grant, Rev the Engine.
That was actually Showin's audition song.
Yeah.
That was one of his orders. He had his stupidness.
That was even before I had audition.
Well, he had his stupidness that we used to do. When we get a man like Teraby to audition in our band, here why I tell Teraby to sing. Sing Pump Me Up. Now, Pump Me Up is a song by Edwin Yearwood. Everybody know Edwin Yearwood could actually sing. Teraby is more of a vocalist. I describe him as a vocalist. He's a chanter. He will get the raga soca and the energy. But ask him to sing like a ballerina, like a ballad. So, of course, he failed the audition with Pump Me Up. But he say, all in Rev the Engine. I say, yeah. You start with the organ. That was it. History after that. It was energy after that. So Wayne Turner in Virginia. Thanks for tuning in, Wayne.
Pops.
Big up yourself. Rest in peace, Brandon. And rest in peace, Alan, of course. That was my soldier.
So Wayne asking, what are we working on now?
Yeah.
Which we kind of discussed before.
Yeah, we did. We so just to recap real quick, I mean, I'm a full-time music producer. Richard is he handles.
I'm the owner of Boom Audio Services, which is a full-time audio production company.
Shameless plug. Shameless. Tara, what are you doing these days?
www.boomaudio.services.com. No, that is shameless. That is shameless.
Tara,
what are you up to?
I see that drum set in the background there. You playing drums?
Well, I'm still in music, but just more on the back side of the music side. of it
Right.
still. But
Terror was
I'm working on some
backside
things,
of something.
but on my own speed. My own
Right.
speed. Not what people are accustomed hearing from me all the year. It's more of a more grown folk kind of vibe still too. So.
Yeah. And if you
I
have
see
any
Timmy
questions,
I see Timmy on the live now.
Timmy
Like,
from
we
Image.
was just talking about him.
Yeah.
Timmy, what is good? You know, just like how Chaos evolved, you know, the Image Band has also evolved. You know, the Image Band. I think I remember the first time hearing Image. You know, they were doing the thing, and Timmy was on the vocals, and then like later, a few years later, Timmy on the drums. You know, I seen different bass players. I seen, you know, so it's like that band evolved over the years in order to stick around. You know, they had to. And by the way, if anybody have any questions in the group in the chat, feel free to post them or whatever, and we'll try to discuss them. This is that segment where we basically talk about bands. We talk about the culture in Washington D.C. You know, or anything that's concerning you. We could talk about DC Carnival if you want to go there.
I see Denise Green on the live also. She was also a heavy supporter. All the way
Denise
back
from
Dynafit
Dynafit days, yes.
All the way back there.
Andy would remember Dynafit. Denise, a lot of them ain't gonna remember Dynafit.
Dynafit was a different place, man. A different place.
Yeah, boy, it was a vibes. It was a vibes.
Remember one night, me and Roger pulling up to Dynafit was about 1:45 in the morning. And as soon as you bend that corner for Georgia Avenue, once you see no cars, you know the place empty. So as we about to make a U-turn now to go somewhere else, I see a red BMW pull up, which is Andy Mix. Andy Mix pull up, do so, he start pulling out the crates. And every time he pull out the crates and went downstairs, he set up things, strike up, and it in about 45 minutes. That place was around.
And for the young ones, crates doesn't mean laptop crates.
Records.
We mean physical milk crates full of vinyl.
Record.
All right, probably 60 pounds per crate.
Yeah. Willow would know about that. Willow be Francis. If you guys don't, well, you know, Willow had to be one of my most favorite people in Washington D.C. You know,
there might have a man asking on the live about coming home.
Hey, you're interrupting me, boy. But you kind of think, let me throw you off the chatter.
You're slow.
Too slow.
The people want to know about coming home. You tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah.
When was that?
Coming Home is a song.
The New York Soca Monarch, I believe it was in 2002.
Did you win?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was produced by Chasu? That was
by Chasu.
Yeah.
Richard Chasu.
I only do the songs that come second. I don't do nothing that come first. If you want to come second, check your boy. I could get in the top 3. If you want to come first, go New York.
That's true, though. That's true.
Nah, don't lie.
Second is the first person to come last.
Yeah. Winston said,
you know, we also produced some Calypso competition songs for Dexter also. That he did very well in New York with. None of the songs, none of them made it onto the CD. But I do remember one in particular. Well, I guess I don't remember the name. You know, think about it. It was written and performed, but never recorded. You know, but I do remember working on a few tracks for Dexter also.
Chaos's second album, Going Crazy, had a ridiculous 17 tracks on there, which is unheard of today. And just so you guys know, like, there were so many other tracks that did not make it onto that CD. We had so many songs ready to be recorded that we could have had for that second CD. It could have been a double CD. It could have been 2 albums, you know. But we just ended up making
chop stuff off.
Yeah, we chop off like a bunch of songs and then decided, hey, you know, 17 is enough, which is ridiculous, you know.
So one guy here wants to ask about. He's asking the music going online, and I think we said that that was a project that we're going to be working on the next couple weeks to get all the music. That's a
Zinger.
The real Zinger asked that question.
Roger, not Roger.
My bad.
Yeah,
the real Zinger. Yeah, but certainly you'll start seeing the links appear, and we'll make sure a lot of that a lot of that stuff ends up online. It's just not a project that we've done in the past. I see Larry Bruce had a question there. You see it?
Yeah, but not in English though. Larry, what,
I think he wants to ask, how did you all get into doing rapso music?
Oh,
which
right.
was his focus.
Yeah. So Terabi, he naturally has a very his vocal style lends very beautifully to rapso music. For folks
Let me just say something. Let me just
go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Me, I identify as a rapso artist.
Aye.
Plain Frank. I mean, that is my foundation. Anything after that,
Yeah.
That's my foundation. And that stems from me being as a kid. I had to go this before cell phone and stuff. So when Pops, sometimes I wouldn't know Pops was in the country unless I see him on TV or something like that. So one place I know he would be at the Rapso network in the drag mall. So to go down there, and while waiting on Pops, that is when they was still getting in the whole ring. There was still the guys in there was tuning up for ring the bell and all those stuff at the Resistance and Mandela and the guys and them inside there. So I just was part of that, reading the whole Rapso vibe. So Rapso was always my thing. One of my Atta Clan, that's one of my biggest idols and stuff like that still too. So go ahead with your thing.
I think thanks. I think one of the other members of Chaos on our second CD, Kelvin Amora, who we affectionately used to call Prodigal Son, he had a song on there that was called Rapso TKO. TKO as in total knockout.
Really nice song if you all get a chance to hear it.
I think
on the second CD.
You know, earlier before this whole discussion, we were talking about and sorry, Larry, I think Larry was trying to allude to the fact that when there was a time that we backed up Tree Canal, who are very heavy in the Rapso.
Right.
So
good show.
Yeah, and we had one of the best times with them. They came over to the house, we lime, we are down in the basement. Larry introduced us. We say, all right, what songs all you want to sing? They say Blue. You remember that song? Yeah. Blue, we go paint the tongue, Blue. And Chaos went and wrapped up the place with our song. That was, it was a scene.
Yeah.
But going back to Prodigal, I think Prodigal, I haven't heard anything from him musically recently, because I know he's been focusing on the fashion, and he also recently got married. Congratulations. But when Prodigal was in a vibe, it was pure vibes. It was always, when Prodigal performed, when Kelvin performed, it was always a vibe with our fella Dread. It was always a spark that the band had, And it was like, that was not there before, because remember, he came later in Chaos later years. So that Chaos was doing that thing, but when he added on, it was like this explosion, and it was a very unique thing to him. So the two tracks that he have on the song, the Rapso TKO and Big Batty Girl, is, to me, Big Batty Girl is like one of my favorites. And I think
mine too.
Yeah, I think it's because I could actually envision, when you hear the song, you could envision the music video for it. You could see the conversation, because the song starts with Kelvin Prodigal knocking on Terabi door, saying, "Hey, wake up, it's Carnival, let me go, get up," and it's a whole scene that plays out, and Terabi is like, "Oh boy, ting," and it's like,
he was saying that, like, you want to lock on he though.
Is no.
So you can me hold on, he had to go and get ready. Sorry, hold on.
You're right. Absolutely.
You're right.
You're right. You're right. I stand corrected. I sit corrected. But it's a whole scene if you ever listen to that song. So what I'll do is I will upload these two albums. They're very, very different albums. The first album and the second album, very, very different. And you will see the difference in the writing approaches, the arrangement, and the production from one album to the next, and it's just from 1 year, 1998 to 1999. The growth that the band made, the leap that they took, was very significant for a very young band in a short space of time. What God they say
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Kelvin the drone on Moradice him there. Yeah. He online.
That was my soldier from before Chaos still. So when he came in, we already had that connection,
The
that vibe.
connection.
So
That was one
yeah.
of the things that was very important in Chaos was having the relationships, the vibes that we had with one another. The singers would have a vibe with one another, and the
Yeah.
musicians would have a vibe with one another, backing up the singers. You know, it was that kind of energy that was just, you don't get that very often in bands. And I mean, I play in real bands over time, real bands.
It was love. It was love.
It was always love, which is why we're still in contact today, which is why we're doing this, because, it was a significant part of all of our lives, Yeah, so any more questions from the viewers? If not, we could wrap it up. I know some people had to work tomorrow, some people had to telework, some people had to pretend they're teleworking and whatever, I had to go and pretend.
Yeah, man, and definitely, again, thanks to all the major players back then. People who even today still stop me and say, "But what happened to Chaos? When are they coming back?" Watching, with my gray hair going, yeah, no, that's Yeah. But certainly the main contributors, other than the people who played in the band, you know who you are. Just want to say thank you for the support over the years, and
Absolutely.
and with the way the world is going right now with COVID-19, let's be safe, and hopefully we'll get back out there and and we can actually be in each other's physical presence the next time.
A man just asked what happened to the Trinidad Clubhouse.
Wow.
The same thing that happened to DC Carnival. No.
Yeah.
From what I know about the clubhouse is that the clubhouse lost its
that
ability.
Picture, by the way, the picture that you're seeing right now is upstairs of the clubhouse, which is one of the places Chaos used to practice years after we when we first started. We were in Dynafit, and then we moved.
Yeah.
Our second home was on top of Clubhouse. If a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, because of some of the club and permit restrictions in Washington D.C., Clubhouse basically lost its ability to earn an income as a night venue, and the decision was made to go ahead and sell it, so it's no longer owned by the Trinidad and Tobago Association. I think there was a plan to purchase a new location, and not sure where that is. But as for the clubhouse, that was the way it went. Just the laws and regulations didn't support it.
I asked that question. It's an important question, Wayne. It's not just what happened to Clubhouse. What is happening to our culture? Because in this area, and this is something that is us. We are the people that go to the parties or throw the parties or form the bands or have the mass band or whatever. This culture here in this area is us, right? So what happened to Clubhouse? What happened to Dynafit? What happened to Zanzibar? What happened to Crossroads? It have a Silver Springs Caribbean style restaurant. What happened to all of them? There's a lot of places. Look at what happened to
Bandmasters, yeah.
Bandmasters don't even have a home right now, fellas. You understand? That is an establishment of over 30-something years in this community. 30-something years. If it wasn't for Bandmasters, me and Richard would have never met. It wouldn't have no Chaos. We would not be on this discussion. Not Little Black Boy would not be a song. You understand? So we all are a community, and we are the culture here in the US. We are the representatives of our respective islands, so we have to keep it together. So we can't just be asking what happened to it. And I'm not ponging here, Wayne. It's a good question. We have to observe that these things are going away. Clubhouse went away, Dynafit went away, Zanzibar went away, all these different places, Crossroads, and it didn't have no Crossroads no more. Crossroads was a big deal,
Yeah.
We don't have these things anymore, and we have to ask ourselves why. And if we establish something, DC, it's not DC Carnival. If we establish Baltimore Carnival, how can we keep it? When people decide to fight in DC in Baltimore Carnival, maybe these kind of conversations will help them to ask themselves a question and or second, think about it and say, you know what, I go save that cup for another day. I ain't going to pull this cup out here because I want to protect our culture. You understand? It's a sad situation sometimes, boy. But thanks for that question, Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to come together. Yeah.
Oh yeah, community. It's all about community. We could keep the community strong. We could, create what we need, what we want.
Yeah, and supporting each other's services. If I know a man selling roti, I go in and buy roti from him. I mean, I not going and buy KFC. I watch him a figure though, but
Gotcha.
or call Boom when you have your event. Or call shameless plug. Call Greg Jams when he needs something produced. Willow call me already. Andy call me. Different people. Yes, love. I seen the hearts going up. Don't call Brian. Brian can't play trombone again. He done with that. Lips chap.
But support the radio show though.
Yeah, check out WPFW on Saturdays.
Especially when they have the fun drive, the annual fun drive.
Look at Yana on here, representing. Yeah.
Big up to too, man.
Seiko Flex. When Seiko high thing, all you go and support the man. The man, Seiko know how to do this. Knock Boys didn't have to do it. Bobby Aming didn't have to do it. Chiwa and them, they don't have to do Islands in the Sun. They don't have to. But these people are doing it to keep the culture here, which is why Chaos used to do it. Chaos bring a soca band to this area to try to establish some semblance of home. Image didn't have to do it. None of us had to do it, but we doing it. Big up, look, Mikey reach. Mikey, you're late, man.
Wait,
Mikey, big,
Hey,
support
jab,
the clips, support Jab. When they're on the road, when you see them, support them. They're part of this cultural community. You understand? We are the people, all of us, the people talking to you, the people talking in chat group, all of us, we are one community, whether we're from Grenada, St. Lucia, wherever. We're one community, but we here, and this is our home, and we had to make this work. Right?
Yeah, man. Well said, Greg.
Yeah.
Support each other.
Yeah.
Oh, the Four of Us production, definitely. Man,
Four of Us Productions, Baltimore, big up yourself.
Big thing, right? True.
And I go in and say this, and I probably shouldn't say it, but it have a tendency in the DC. I'm not too sure about Baltimore if it had the same thing, but in DC it has a tendency to, there's a Seiko type of party, and there's a I'm preaching. It have a Seiko type of party. I talking real thing.
Outside, and I've heard what it is. I think you're trying to say.
Right. So Terra used to live in DC. Terra is actually in Florida right now, y'all. Right. It would have a Chiwa kind of party or a Basement Knockers kind of party or whatever. We had done them stupidness, Jed. We had done them stupidness. That is real nonsense. It's supposed to be. It's only but so much of us. And I realized when my brethren passed away here, Brandon, when he died, that it's too small for these little stupid bickerings. It's too small. So we had to love up one another and big up one another. If you don't want to big up somebody, just hush your mouth. That's all. Yeah.
Yep. I see the Sprang crew international in the house. I see
Tony in the house, my Tony.
I see Tony inside here.
Yeah, man.
Had some real good times with Tony and Sprang, man.
Yeah, bless up.
Incidentally, I do remember the night, just like Andy, I remember the night Sprang ended up behind the mixer.
Creole Orleans.
Lord.
If anybody remember Creole Orleans, give me a like. Let me see your
back.
thumbs up or something. I want to see who in here know Creole Orleans. That
Orleans.
before Zanzibar was Zanzibar. One man. that had to be Tony. No, Andy might know it too. Andy might know.
Quite a few people.
Andy acting like he young. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah, man. It was real. It was real. Yeah. I lost you there, or?
No, we still here. I look ready to wrap up.
Yeah, looking like we're done here. If anybody have any questions, for the old Chaos crew, or any requests from for me in particular to if if anything in the future, or whatever, you know, we
And
definitely
as we upload the music to YouTube or whatever media, we'll definitely forward the links. Keep forwarding the music. Who knows? Maybe more people will hear about What's a Black Boy to Do, and you know, just spread the message and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is when I upload the old Chaos CDs or whatever, I'll post a link on my page, and maybe you guys could share it as well, or Terra at least, you know.
Yeah, man.
Richard hate me.
He's still there though.
Richard hate me, boy.
Yeah.
Leonard.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to big up Leonard Jack, sort of. I want to big him up as my partner, but as a musician, I want to cuss him. Leonard, go and practice. No, just joking with all that.
Wait, I just saw Bobby Adams, if that's correct. Bobby Adams just jumped on this live.
Bobby
was a real supporter of Chaos and hired us for quite a few shows.
Bobby
Definitely
was a big establishment in the Chaos.
Bobby,
Chaos night. I mean, not Chaos. Crossroads nightclub. Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby
and
was
also on
definitely
WHR with
one.
John Blake. You know, he would be on the radio with John as well. You know, so big up yourself, Bobby. Nice to see you, man. Long time. It's been years. Yeah.
Yeah. I see he still does his stuff, Bobby's Music Machine.
Yeah.
Still does his stuff with the DJing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're looking to wrap it up here.
Yeah, thanks everyone for showing up, and good night.
All right, folks. So there you have it. I think I'll wrap it up by going and I'll play the What's a Black Boy to Do video one more time for folks who joined us later, so you could see the lyrics and get an idea of what we was talking about. In the meantime, you know, big up yourself, big up your DC community, and your Baltimore community, and thanks for
Virginia,
the DVM, DMV.
Yeah, big up my sister, my brother-in-law, my nieces, my brother, and everybody else on the inside. I just say, big up everybody.
Big up Ingrid in the house.
All right,
man.
Easy.
All right, folks, thanks again. And here is What's a Black Boy to Do.
Good night.
Good night.
No, you're wrong about me. No. Hear my song. Don't want no pity, don't want no sympathy. My God built me strong and full of capability. But I'm a slave to a system, you see. That seems to want to destroy the little black ones like me. Don't care how I've tried, and God knows I've tried. Something comes along to pull me down. Good opportunities I can't seem to find, and soon I'm left behind. So I can sing, oh na, it makes me cry. The little black boy, his mama sent him to school. The little black boy, the teacher called him a fool. The little black boy, she said you'll never succeed. What's a black boy to do? The little black boy, his parents don't understand. The little black boy, how to help him become a man. The little black boy, so they beat him and send him to bed. What's a black boy to do? I know some of you here will never see the truth. My arguments for a black man you will refute. All of the pain that he feels from all the abuse, you will just say to him that is another excuse. The politicians have tried, at least they say they have tried, to give him a fighting chance. With prejudice in your hearts, they will just tear him apart. Another promise to get a vote. It makes me cry. The little black boy, he gonna look for a job. The little black boy, people think he come to rob. The little black boy, why are you so afraid of me? Whoa, no. What's a black boy? Whoa, no. The little black boy, how can he explore his skills? The little black boy, you know we got to pay his bills. So Lord, to feed himself and his family. What's a black boy to do? Now a choice is a choice, and if I had to make one, I would choose to be black until the day I was done. There are rich boys, there are poor boys all under the sun, but I'm a poor black boy, that is the way I was born. Choices for me don't come so easily. I have to work, I have to play hard, it is not easy. And I stumble or make a wrong move, or people chastise me like they have something to prove.